Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Sodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Pravajakacharya, Astatasata Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakota Vaishnavanda Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Sigaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogomya Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious Shishi Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, the history of the life of Ajamil. Text number 7. No, is it 8? 7? Okay. Shri Suku Vacha Ched Ihaiva Na Ched Ihaiva Pachitim Yatam Hasha Kutasya Kuryan Manu-ukta Panibi Dhuvang Sa Vai Pretya Narakan Upayati Ye Kirtita Me Bhavatas Tigma Yatana. Actually, we read this yesterday. We're on text 8 today. Yeah, text 8. Tasmat Purvaiva.
We're skipping to 8, right?
We're going to 8, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we have devices. People have devices. So we go continue on as normal. Yeah, I think we have enough devices. Tasmat Purvaivashu Iha Papa Nishkritau Yatita Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Dosya Drisva Guru Laghavang Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rajam Nidhanivit Hasman Paraivash Vihitapa Nishkritau Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Dosasya Drisva Guru Laghavang Yata Bishak Chikitseta Vajhang Nidhan Avit Tasman Paraiva Vihat Papa Nishkritau Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Dosasya Drisva Guru Laghavang Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rajhang Nidhanavit Tasman Paraiva Vahit Papa Nishkrito Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Dosasya Drisva Guru Laghavam Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rajhang Nidhanavit
Tasmat Puraiva Sriha Papa Nishkritau Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Doshasya Drisva Guru Laghavam Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rujam Nidhanavit Tasmat Puraiva Sriha Papa Nishkritau Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Doshasya Drisva Guru Laghavam Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rujam Nidhanavit
Would you like to chant?
Tasmat Purasya Iha Papa Nishkrito Yateta Mrityur Avipadyatatmana Dosasya Drisva Guru Laghavam Yata Bishak Chikitseta Rujam Nidhanavit
Tasmat, therefore. Pura, before. Eva, indeed. Asau, very quickly. Iha, in this life. Papa Nishkritau, to become free from the reaction of sinful activities. Yateta, one should endeavor. Mrityo, death. Avipadyata, not troubled by disease and old age. Atmana, with a body. Doshasya, of the sinful activities. Drishva, estimating. Guru Laghavam, the heaviness or lightness. Yata, just like. Bishak, a physician. Chikitsita, would treat. Rajam, of disease. Nidhanavit, one who is expert in diagnosis. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki. Therefore, before one's next death comes, as long as one's body is strong enough, one should quickly adopt the process of atonement according to Shastra. Otherwise, one's time will be lost and the reactions of his sins will increase. As an expert physician diagnoses and treats a disease according to its gravity, one should undergo atonement according to the severity of one's sins. Purport. The dharma-śāstras, like the Manu-saṁhitā, prescribe that a man who has committed murder should be hanged and his own life sacrificed in atonement. Previously, this system was followed all over the world, but since people are becoming atheists, they are stopping capital punishment. This is not wise. Herein, it is said that a physician who knows how to diagnose a disease prescribes medicine accordingly. If the disease is very serious, the medicine must be strong. The weight of a murderer's sin is very great, and therefore, according to the Manu-saṁhitā, a murderer must be killed. By killing a murderer, the government shows mercy to him, because if a murderer is not killed in this life, he will be killed and forced to suffer many times in future lives. Since people do not know about the next life and the intricate workings of nature, they manufacture their own laws, but they should properly consult the established injunctions of the Shastras and act accordingly. In India, even today, the Hindu community often takes advice from expert scholars regarding how to counteract sinful activities. In Christianity also there is a process of confession and atonement. Therefore atonement is required, and atonement must be undergone according to the gravity of one's sinful acts. Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukham Krotavatalang Pangun Langhayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Vande Shigarum Dinataranam Vansha Kalpa Triyvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the present age of Kali, atheism is increasing. So they don't know that when the body dies, the soul is going to continue. And the soul that has committed sinful activity is going to get reactions. So they don't know this. So they're doing away with capital punishment. But actually it's mercy of the king or the president to kill someone who is a murderer. so they don't have to suffer in their next life. It's interesting that here in the purport, Prabhupada said if someone's a murderer, they don't just get a reaction once, but here it says, because the murderer is not killed in this life, he will be killed and forced to suffer many times in future lives. So it's the mercy of the king to kill someone who's a murderer, so they don't have to suffer so much in the future. See, karma is a very it's a very intricate law that people aren't aware of very much. There's actually there's 3 different types of karma. There's vikarma, there's akarma, and there's karma. So what's being spoken about here is vikarma. People do sinful activities, then they get negative reaction. And there's so many sinful activities people are doing, they have no idea what they're going to get in the future. Yeah, no idea. Because they don't see people getting these reactions. People die and they think, well, that's it. That's a common thing. That's it. It's over. No. It's like Professor Kutowski, the professor of Hinduism, who knew so much. Swamiji, when the body dies, that's it. Prabhupada was so surprised. He must have mentioned that. I don't know how many times. Many times. Prabhupada, dozens of times Prabhupada mentioned that in classes. That here we have a big professor studying, the Vedas, and such a fool. Couldn't understand that when the body dies, the soul is going to continue. And whatever we're doing, we get, everything is being tallied up, just like in the supermarkets, there are so many things are being sold, and they're in the cash register, but at the end of the day, they push one button, and it's all come up. Everything has come up for the day. So similarly, at the end of our life, so many things we've done, Krishna pushes one button, ding, and everything that we've done comes up, and we get exactly a result for whatever we've done in this lifetime. So therefore we have to be careful. Just like in the society here, you have to be careful about what you can't just run red lights and rob stores. And therefore, there's 2 million prisoners in this country right now. So they're getting reactions. They're not being careful about how they're living, even their gross material life. So they get reactions. So the laws of karma are so intricate, so subtle. The Prabhupada says that just to not think of Krishna is sinful. So it gets very subtle. Because if we're not thinking of Krishna, what are we thinking of? Thinking of Maya. So vikarma, sinful activities, they have to be avoided. And fortunately, we're learning. We have so much knowledge here. We're learning what is sinful, what is proper, what is righteous, what is godly. So we know what to do. And we're giving this message out to others so they can also find out what is right and what is wrong. They don't do the wrong things. In the human form of life, an intelligent person will try to understand, well, what is my duty? What is right? What is wrong? Just like when someone moves into another country, like if I were to move to England, I have to find, there's laws that are different than here. You have to find out. For instance, the obvious law there is you don't drive on the right side of the street. Otherwise you'd be in big trouble. They drive on the left side of the street. And there's so many laws that are different than here. You find out. And if you do something that's wrong, well, I'm sorry, I'm from America, I didn't know. Well, you're living here now, you got to find out, what's right and what's wrong. So similarly, we should find out in this human form of life what is right, what is wrong, what do we get a negative reaction for, and what do we get a positive? There's also positive reaction. There's akarma. Akarma is the goal. Or there's just pure activities, where one is only acting for Krishna. That's the goal. One is acting, but acting only for Krishna. Just like when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, he was going to New Delhi. And he was going back and forth, New Delhi, Vrindavan. He was printing books. And someone who's not very intelligent or wise might think, well, what kind of a Swami is this? He's doing all this business, going back and forth, printing books. What's this? What kind of a Swami is this? But no, it was completely akarma, completely pure activity, because he's printing books about Krishna. It's completely transcendental activity. It looks material, but it's completely spiritual. Yeah. So you can't judge from the external, but you have to see the heart. It's hard to see the heart. Krishna sees the heart. Krishna sees the heart. Just like sometimes people, they come and they give donations. Just like the other day, Dimitra Prabhu told me this. He met this one person. He said, I'm going to give you half of everything I own in this world. And he gave $1. And I was thinking, well, that's pretty good. I mean, he gave half. It wasn't that much, but he gave half. You know? Whereas other people, they got millions of dollars and they come and give $10,000. But Krishna, he's looking at that, the millions that are in the bank. But Krishna saw that person give half of everything that he gave, and Krishna thought, well, that's pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, Krishna's looking at what we're holding back, not so much what we're giving. So we have to, of course, the goal is to give everything to Krishna. And that's the goal. Akarma. You get no negative reaction, just positive. Everything is positive reaction. And the most wonderful positive reaction is we go back home. Go back home, back to God. That's the goal. And that's the result of pure devotional service, that we go back home. No more material life. So that's the akarma. Yeah. And it's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that one should render loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord favorably without any desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or mental speculation. So this is pure devotional service. Practically everybody that wants some fruit, they want to get something. What do I get out of this? What am I going to get out of this? They want some fruit. And there's so much mental speculation. So much speculation going on in the world. So to be free of mental speculation, to be free of the desire to enjoy the fruits of one's activities, that's actually very elevated. So this is the goal, to have no desire other than to please Krishna. So this is the akarma, and then there's just karma. Krishna is very liberal. Karma just means activity. If one does an activity which is pious, it's not sinful, doesn't believe in God, still he can be elevated to the heavenly planets just by being in the mode of goodness. This is how liberal Krishna is. Yeah. It's not that you have to serve God in loving way in order to go to heaven. No. Just be a very good person. Krishna appreciates the mode of goodness, and therefore he says in the Bhagavad Gita that those in the mode of goodness, they go up to the higher planetary systems. Those in the mode of ignorance, they go down to the And those, what is it? Udvam gachanti sattvasta madhya chansanti rajana jaganyagunavit adhodikam tamasa. So this is the liberalness of Krishna. Yeah. So we have to do something. So better do whatever we're doing for Krishna. And therefore Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mad karma krin, mad parama, mad bhakta sangavard nirvaira sarabhutesu yasmam eti pandava. Krishna says that one who works for me, mad karma krin, mad parama, who understands me to be the supreme. Some people think they're the supreme. It's like I met one guy the other day, showed me books over there at Chula Vista, the first Krishna lounge program we had there. So I offered him a book. He said, no, I'm good. I said, well, you can be better. No, I'm great. I'm great. I said, okay. So people think that I'm great, man. I'm supreme. I'm doing great. Yeah. This is called Maya, right? Or an illusion. So Krishna, actually, there are a few places in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that I'm the greatest. There was this one boxer who said, "Oh, I am the greatest." Then he got Alzheimer's, I believe. I met him in the airport one time. He could barely walk. Muhammad Ali, he could barely walk. He was, yeah. Actually, he was very, very favorable. Bhakti Swami was cultivating him. Yeah. So, Krishna is the greatest. There's no competition. No competition. So, Mad karma krim, we have to work. Everybody's working some way. So, to work for Krishna, this is the goal. Krishna's kartamisha. What does kartamisha mean? The boss. Krishna is the boss. There's many bosses on this planet now, probably millions, right? But Krishna, he's the param, kartamisha, the boss of all bosses. Yeah. He's the supreme boss. So if we work for Krishna, very fortunate. Yeah. We may not get pay. Actually, we get the ultimate pay. We go back to Krishna. There was one person in Miami, Jacob Tucker, millionaire, very wealthy. Jacob Tucker. He said the Hare Krishnas, they work, and they don't get paid much, but their retirement plan is out of this world. That's our retirement plan, the spiritual world. But we have to work selflessly. We have to work to please Krishna. Generally, in this world, everybody is selfish. That's the nature of this world. Everybody's me. Everybody's a me generation, me and I. But no, we have to learn to act selflessly for Krishna. Work for Krishna with no desire other than to please Krishna. And if we do that, then we're going to see Krishna's going to smile at us. We're going to get the smile. Yeah. Krishna, Brother Prabhupada said, we just want to see Krishna smile. Yeah. We want to get a certificate from Krishna saying, this person has done something good for me. Get a smile from Krishna. We don't want to make Krishna unhappy. I was just reading Prabhupada said that Krishna, he's a person. And we're part of him. If we do things that are displeasing to him, then there's some little unhappiness there on the part of Krishna. He's displeased. So we should learn what is pleasing to Krishna and do what is pleasing to Krishna. And what is most pleasing to Krishna? To give him to others. Exactly. Because people don't know. People are in ignorance. You go to the universities and there's just more ignorance. So one devotee was telling me, he said, He said, I practically didn't know what sinful activity was until I went to college.
I mean, he wasn't practicing or wasn't aware?
Well, he wasn't, he wasn't practicing. Yeah, he wasn't doing so much. Yeah, simple life.
Until he went to college.
Yeah. Sophisticated sense gratification when you go to college. So, here it is, this higher education, college. But people just learn how to do more sinful activity. Now they're more advanced in age, they get into it more. Right? The hormones are more active. Desire for sense gratification increases. So, by giving this knowledge out to people, people are getting real knowledge. They're getting real knowledge, not this so-called knowledge. And from this, then people understand what to do, and they become happy by doing what they're supposed to do. Mat karma kran mat parma mat bhakta, who becomes my devotee. People are devotees of so many people now, devoted to movie stars and sports fans. It's like in India, the big thing is cricket. If you're a good cricket player, you're worshipped. Oh man, isn't it? Like a demigod. Like demigods, yeah. And if one of these demigods does something wrong, devotees told me about there was one cricket game, I think it was between Pakistan and India, and the best player, he blew it. He blew it. They lost the game. They burned the guy's house down. They burned his house down because they didn't fill up to his, they didn't even go up to his desires. They didn't fill, isn't it? You know about that? Oh, you probably know.
I heard that they burned out his effigies.
No, but the devotees told me they burned down his whole house. They were so fried. So they had so much expectation, and they don't live up to their expectations. Burn his house down. Material world. Now this is love, so-called love. So much love for him as long as he's playing good. But if he's not playing good, burn his house down. This is the material world. So-called love. Right? So-called love. What is it stated? Didati patigranati guyamakyati pirchi. There are 6 ways to show love. Real love. To reveal one's mind and confidence. To inquire from another. To give gifts. To receive gifts. To give prasadam. And receive prasadam. These are the 6 ways to show love. So, mat karma krin, mat parama, mat bhakta, sangavarjitaha, nirvaira sarvabhutes, who is a friend to everyone. Who is a friend to everyone. Krishna says, he comes to me. To be a friend to everyone, that's not an easy thing. Because naturally in this world, there's some people you get along with good, and some people you don't get along with good, and even sometimes there's enemies. So to be a friend towards everyone, that's very, very rare. Very rare. You have to be on the spiritual platform. Beyond the body, you have to see everyone as a soul. The super soul is there, and the soul is there. And to see everyone as part of Krishna. It's like sometimes when I'm distributing books, I get some special mercy from Krishna, and when I'm speaking to them, I'm thinking, this person is a soul, an eternal soul, and this person may have been my friend in the spiritual world. It's not impossible, right? So try to look at everyone as a soul. It's a nice meditation, nice consciousness. And lately, when as I'm engaging them, even when they're coming to the table, I'm offering respects to them, because Krishna says, "Upadrastana mantacha bharta bhokta maheswara paramadmeti chapyukta dehesmyam purushapara." That within this body, there's another transcendental enjoyer. He's the overseer. He's the Lord. He's the proprietor. He's overseer and permitter. So the super soul is there in the hearts of everyone. The soul is there. So to see beyond the body, beyond this bag, and to see the soul, it's nice. It's a nice meditation. And the consciousness, and they feel it. The people, there's this sixth sense. When you're talking to someone, you have this consciousness, they feel there's something different here. I was distributing books the other day, and the lady said, "You're glowing." I said, "All right, thanks a lot." So when you get in this consciousness, you're just thinking of Krishna and thinking of the soul and giving the people this knowledge. Krishna gives some mercy. So it's interesting. Prabhupada says that this is the essence. Now you don't hear this verse. I mean, you don't hear this from speakers in Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita very seldom or very, very often. But this is the essence. So why is this the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, this verse? It's something to... Huh? But Karmakrin. That's the big part. The one who works for me. Like I mentioned earlier, people working for... So many people have jobs, but they're all working for their sense gratification. They're working to get some money in return. There's no love there. If the money doesn't come... In Russia, I remember I was going through we were driving down the street to go to some program, and there was a lot of people selling tires. Outside, there was a tire shop there, and it lined up, a lot of people selling tires. And they asked the devotee, "Why are they all out there selling tires?" And he said, "Well, sometimes the owner of the company, they don't have money to pay the workers, so they just give them tires. And they got to sell the tires to get money." That's how they get their pay. But we're working for Krishna. We don't get anything. Just like Siva Ramaswamy, he was distributing books. And this is back in Chicago, back in the 70s. And he was a good salesman. And one person came up to him, one businessman came up to him and he said, "How much are you getting paid for this job?" He said, "I don't get paid anything." I said, "What?" "Yeah, this is my service to God, to my spiritual master." He said, "Well, I can give you $40,000 a year." Back then, early 70s, that was, I don't know, it'd be like, what would that be like, 80,000, 100,000 a year? Yeah. So he said, "Well, thanks anyway, but no, I like what I'm doing now. It's okay." And the person was amazed. He said, "Well, I wish I had some nice boys like you working for me. You're just giving your heart to this service that you're doing." He said, "But to have boys like you, I would have to be like your spiritual master." But I'm not like that. So he reached in his pocket and gave him $20. "Here you go, this is for the service you're doing." So he was, yeah.
Maybe he's a book distributor now, you never know.
Could be. So, yeah, we're working for Krishna. We don't want anything in return. Except for, what do we want?
Love God.
We want to learn to love Krishna. This is what we want. This is what we want. This is the greatest pay that you can achieve. Money comes and goes, just dirty paper. Yeah. But to have the wealth of love for Krishna, wow, that's like, you can't beat that. So, on that note, is there any question or comment? Yes, Maharaj. Oh, the microphone is coming.
Just as a sidelight, when I was coming to the temple, I was just a guest, you know, and Dwarkadish, Prabhupada called him Mr. DDD, little Dwarkadish.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
about 6, 7 years old, and I used to keep my bills in one pocket and my change in another pocket. And I came a couple times, and he would sit by the door if you were leaving the Sunday feast, and you'd get a little pinch of Mahaprasadam, and there was a bowl there, and you'd give a donation. And I'd always put my change in there. It was usually, you know, $3 or $4, something. You know, I was a student. That was, you know, I thought, well, this is sufficient, you know, in 1969. And I did it a couple times. And then he tapped my pocket with the change, and then he tapped my pocket with the bills. And he told me, you know, Krishna doesn't see what you give. He sees what you keep. Just like you were saying in the morning, I was, earlier in your class, I was so impressed. I thought, this little boy has not only figured out my system, but he's called me out on it. You know, he's politely calling me a cheapskate. I was so impressed. I thought, geez, you know. So there was that. But my question was this. Oh, and just about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, just because it's ISKCON lore, you were saying how he was cultivating
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. I forget. He had some Tenji. I think he met him in an airport or somewhere. He met him for a minute or two. And then he had Muhammad Ali lived in L.A. and had a house there, you know, in whatever it is, Baldwin Hills or whatever, you know, with a big gate. And just you can imagine the scene, big house in the back. Nobody got it because everybody's trying to see him. Nobody could get in. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, no, here's how it worked. Somebody gave him some prasadam in the airport, one of our cookies. And he said, you know, from the Govindas in LA, he said, man, these are the best cookies I've ever had. So, fast forward now. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj rented a limousine. And he had Bhutatma in a chauffeur's suit, you know, with that cap and the whole thing. And on those Mercedes limousines, they have a little flag, a little pole you can put usually for diplomats or whatever you put so he made 2 flags with the BBT logo, and he had the 2 BBT logo flags flying on the front. And when he drove up in this limousine with this, chauffeur and everything, they just opened the gate. They thought, well, he's got it. So he pulled up. When he got out of the car, he had a bag of Govinda's cookies. And Muhammad Ali, believe it or not, answered the door. He was more, you know, and he got such a kick out of it that this guy had, and he was in his sannyas clothes and everything, that he'd managed to get through the gate, and he was delivering a bag of those Govinda cookies he loved. He led him into the house. They became fantastic friends. Muhammad Ali knew a bunch of magic tricks, and evidently Bhakti Tirtha, not evidently, it's a fact, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj knew a bunch of card tricks, different magic. And they would go and they'd exchange card tricks. Muhammad Ali told him that everything I've been doing has just been to get to this point that I'm famous, and now I can speak messages of God. Everything I did was to become famous. And now because I'm famous, people will listen to me. So he's actually a very nice person. So my question, to glorify Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he was sublimely, strategically clever. So my question is, you were talking about how Krishna appreciates pious acts, and just by pious acts we can go to heaven. So, well, why don't I just game the system? I'll just act piously, and you know, I'll go to the heavenly planets. I'll enjoy. You know, I have to go through heavenly planets. They don't even get old; they just drop dead. So I'll just, you know, pull the right levers, and I'll just cruise in this world and be happy.
So Krishna himself also says in the Gita, Kshinye punye marti lokam vishanti, that you may be having a good time in the heavenly planets, but it's gonna come to an end, and then you got to come back again. Or you could be elevated.
Back again, I'll just act piously and go, you know.
Well,
So I'll act piously in this life, so I won't really suffer so much, except I drop dead, but there it is. Then I go to heaven. Okay, great. And when my good karma runs out, I come back down to earth, I'll just act piously. So I'll cruise on the earthly platform, happy. I'll go to heaven,
and I'm happy. So I'll just, I'll just stay in that groove.
Well, Maharaj, this is a dangerous place, this material world. You know? You might find some bad association when you come back, and get out of that mode of goodness, and go into the mode of ignorance, and it might go down further. So, better be safe than sorry, and take our spiritual life very seriously, as you're doing, and go back to Godhead, not mess with this heavenly and hellish and middle planetary system.
Your point you're making is the potential risk. You can't just game the system.
Yeah.
Because you'll get entangled in it.
Easily get entangled.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Mode of goodness is also entangling.
What's that? Didn't you tell me when you fall down from heaven, you get Rakshasas come and eat you? Someone else said. Oh, Vaikuntha. All right. Anyway, just a note. Sriram Swami, the $40,000 they offered him? Was it
Yeah.
40?
Yeah.
It's worth $266,000 today.
Wow. They turned down a lot of money back then.
That's 6 times?
Wow.
No, more like 7, close to 7.
200.
Geez, $250,000. That's a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Myself and Bhakti Eric, we were walking around the park here yesterday. Yeah, Bhakti Eric, nice boy, he comes. Yeah, with his Fred. He got that dog. And we saw one house for rent, just 2-bedroom. What was it? $4,000 a month. Just a little, beat up house. We were shocked. It's like, now it's so expensive. It's ridiculous.
Isn't there also a story about Muhammad Ali in the airport, and he gets one of Srila Prabhupada, I think he gets a Bhagavad Gita, and then he opens it to the picture of Srila Prabhupada, and he says, "This man is the greatest." Isn't there a story about that?
That's cool. I've never heard that.
I never heard that was a good one, though.
Yeah, I've heard it. Some book distributors tell it, but maybe it's true.
I never heard that, but maybe. I mean, he was a special person. He became attracted to Krishna, definitely. Okay. Anything on Zoom?
Yes, Vijay Prabhu, thank you very much. You're very kind on the Bhat Pranams. My question is, for example, gambling, one of the prohibited activities for a devotee. It is a sinful activity. Many people who gamble, they gamble and they do not know that gambling is a sin. So based on this, my question is it that ignorance is to be forgiven?
No. Ignorance is no excuse. Prabhupada gave the example of the child who was looking to touch the fire. He wants to. It's glowing and it's attractive, and the child touches it. He gets burned. It doesn't matter he's a child or no, you get burned. So ignorance is no excuse. We have to learn. We have to learn what is right and what is wrong. Ignorance, so many times Prabhupada said, ignorance is no excuse. We have to learn what is right, what is wrong. And gambling, this is actually, it's interesting that Prabhupada said that we're also gambling. Because gambling means you put something forward to get something in return, and we're giving our life, but we don't know what we're going to get back. So he said, in one sense, we're gambling. We don't know. It's a transcendental gamble. But even though we're engaging in Krishna consciousness with the goal of getting big rewards, going back to Krishna, still it's a nice life. It's a nice life that we're living. Good people, good prasadam, good life. So even if we don't get the ultimate reward of going back to Krishna, still it's a nice life. So yes, Maris.
Yeah, I was just thinking about gambling. Prabhupada gives the example that even the Pandavas, Yudhisthira Maharaj, because of gambling, what a reaction there is.
Yeah.
So there's that example. But it does say in Manu-saṁhitā, and Prabhupada quotes, that just like if I commit murder by accident, like I hit somebody crossing in the crosswalk, well, that's manslaughter. If it's premeditated, if I lie in wait, so there's different degrees in law of killing. So similarly, there is a lesser reaction. Prabhupada gives an example in India, they know better, so they get a heavier reaction. So your answer is completely correct. And as Prabhupada says, ignorance of the law, you touch the fire, you get burnt. There's the example. But even within that, there is some gradation based on knowledge.
Another thing is that...
Oh, and I was going to say one... Now, go ahead, because I was thinking of one other thing.
Another thing is that the sinful activities that we're avoiding, if you think about it, like gambling, there's a restriction. It's only there's only in certain states. You can't gamble here. Well, actually, at the Indian reserves here, they could.
Yeah.
But most states in this country, you can't gamble. It's illegal. Why is it illegal? Because it's not right. It's sinful. It's a sinful activity. Intoxication. It's illegal to take intoxication. Now they're allowing marijuana. But most drugs, and that's not in every state. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Anybody know what it is? How many states are? I mean, there's many states where it's legal now, but there's many where it's still illegal. Why? Because it's a sin. It's not right. It's a sinful activity. Gambling, intoxication, meat eating. Of course, here it's not meat eating, but people know in India it's wrong. Yeah. To eat meat, although it's becoming more and more westernized, but people know, isn't it? It's not right to eat meat. Or there's still some culture, they know this is not right, and we get a reaction. Illicit sex, for someone who's cultured, they know this is wrong. To go out and have illicit sex with a lady, this is wrong. Therefore, it was only in marriage. I mean, it's changed so much. I remember back when I was growing up, women were chaste. Even in our high schools here in California, women were chaste. They wouldn't have, of course, it was not the way it should be, but they wouldn't have sex, outside of marriage. They'd wait till they. But now it's like, phew, if you don't have sex before you're married, you're like considered weird. There's something wrong with you, because it's just become so degraded.
I was just going to say about, you were saying that we have a good life even if it's not. I heard Prabhupada tell a man that you say we're crazy, we say you're crazy. Now let's just compare. That Prabhupada said, just like you said, suppose there is no God, suppose there is no soul, suppose it's all a dream, just a dream, and then flash, we're drop dead and, bury me under a fruit tree. So, but we're having a nice dream. Prabhupada said, even if we're wrong, if it doesn't matter, there's no absolute truth, there's no ultimate, it's just all chemicals and random chance, and everybody's dreaming. I'm thinking I'm Napoleon, I'm thinking I'm, whatever I'm thinking I am. Well, so fine, we're thinking we're devotees. So it's all a dream. Why not pick a dream that's happy? We think we have a bright future. We think we're going back to Godhead. We have nice associations. So even if it's chanting, dancing, feasting, where do you want to start? So even if it's a dream, we're having a great dream. So Prabhupada said, even if we're wrong, sir, we're having a great time. So even if we're wrong, we're right, because we're having the best dream. And then Prabhupada said, but what if we're right? Then Prabhupada said, then you, sir, are really, really wrong. So when you think about it, if it doesn't matter, there's no absolute truth, then just cruise. Have a nice dream. And what do you got to lose? Because if it's true, ching, ching, it's the biggest payoff. So I just want to reaffirm you.
Yeah. You've heard of Pascal's wager?
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe you've heard of Pascal's wager? You heard of it? There's only 4 possibilities. God exists, and you serve God. God exists, and you don't serve God. God doesn't exist, and you try to serve that person who doesn't exist. God doesn't exist, and you don't serve God. Those are only 4 possibilities. Now, if God does exist, and you serve God, bingo, you're the winner. You hit the jackpot. You hit the jackpot. He was very thoughtful. He was a mathematician, scientist. He was a brilliant scientist. Pascal. But if there is a God, and you don't serve God, oh, you're gonna lament a lot. So better be safe than sorry and serve God. You know? Nice life, also, as Maharaj just pointed out. Yes,
just one note on this gambling thing. Maharaj has often mentioned this, and it's true, that they've done studies, and people who win the lottery, even if you don't win the big 190 million thing, if you would,
State lotteries.
yeah, state lotteries, then you're more unhappy than if you don't win a lottery. Because suddenly some ordinary schmo, he's working on a factory line, and now he's got $2 million. All kinds of relatives come by, and old friends and this and that, and you lose. And on the line, all your friends in the factory think, oh, he's in other words, you have to change your whole lifestyle, and it's more miserable. So the
rich people hang out with rich people. So now he's just a poor person that became rich.
And the most amazing thing is, they had the biggest lottery pot that ever was, $1.34 billion. And it's unclaimed to this point. No one has come forward. There's a deadline, I think 6 weeks. It's almost up. And either one, the guy doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to, mess his life up, or he left it in his pants and washed it in the laundry, and now, which is even more horrendous. So either way, you lose, But we've taken, as you say, we've taken the risk of joining Hare Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna, but we're winners either way because it's such a blissful lifestyle. Anyway, how can you lose?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, we have one more.
21 states.
21 states, marijuana is legal. So most of the states, he just looked it up. 21 states are legal, so that means that about 30 are not legal, so still, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.